Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.
And we're live, bros.
Hey,
Woo!
welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for
How
having
goes
us,
it?
man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming
Hi,
back
guys.
on. So I'll give.
Love your
What was that?
You get a lot of things done in that garage.
Yeah, man. I got mostly all the tools I could need, except I need to get a new soldering iron. I dropped it in this sink over there earlier.
Do you have a Bunsen burner?
A Bunsen?
Yeah, you got some purple. You got some purple too.
Yeah,
What's that, Ken?
That's a
Pulling
tincture.
out on us?
No, it's a tincture
A
I'm
tincture.
brewing. Yeah. So I want to give a chance for Anastasia, I guess, to introduce herself to the audience, because Logan was on not too long ago when I did a pop-on, and he ended up popping on with a few people. So, co-host as always is Nathan. Logan is on again as well, and we're going to be talking about Lunargistics. Lunargistics. It's fun to say.
It's like
Good name.
it's like lunar logistics.
I like that.
I was telling Nathan earlier, it's like Super World, but in space.
Yeah.
It's like a more compliant Planet Express.
So, Anastasia, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we can jump into a little bit about what Logan's doing with Lunargistics.
Sure. You guys might know me as Lady A or Lady Anarchy Online. I haven't been on your show in a while, Ken.
That's
but
why I
I'm glad
needed you to do this.
Yeah, right. Let's see. I started in the Bitcoin and blockchain space in 2016. Was part of a bunch of different cool projects. The last couple of years, I've been doing Bitcoin security and consulting, teaching people how to hodl correctly, teaching them how to keep their Bitcoin and not lose it. All of that good stuff. And now I'm also with Lunargistics, doing their marketing, writing blogs, connecting space, and distributed ledgers again. So, that's my niche. I love it. I love everything space. And I love everything blockchain.
Cool. She's been bringing such amazing content to Lunargistics. And I mean, the marriage between space and blockchain, digital currencies, digital assets, it's the only thing that's really made sense to me for such a long time, and bringing in strong really anybody, but especially female professionals in the space into Lunargistics has been really fun for me. We actually, I don't know if you remember, Diana has come on as CEO, and those two have been working. You two have been working together in stride, to make sure people understand what the hell I've been building for so long.
Well, yeah, that's where I met Dee and, kind of know Anastasia from as well as, where they were working with, projects like Nexus. And even at the event, I got to meet a lot of, space scientists and got to touch rockets and stuff. So Anastasia and Dee have definitely been, in the crypto/space side of things for a long time now.
We're a dream team. Love it. Love being back with my girl and love doing this kind of stuff. It's so exciting and so inspirational and so important for humanity to move forward.
So I have the article up here. People are probably reading it along as they're listening, but I just wanted to go over a little bit about this in general. So sort of what is Lunargistics and how are you planning on utilizing NFTs in the project?
Yeah, so I mean, you know me, man. Lunargistics fever dream got up, and my father's an astrophotographer. My grandfather is a roboticist from back in Detroit and in the early 30s, and seeing the opportunity to not only leverage the supply chain kind of legacy that I came from into a space economy. Being an American citizen, my parents were in the military, and having the ability to kind of take what we've been building, all these years in terms of like blockchain DLT, and bring it to the Space Force, bring it to the Air Force, and have them kind of have more compliant systems, things that don't fall over when a bunch of people try to come in and log in at the same time, using sovereign identity systems to manage that. We came to this event where, I've been researching NFTs for years now, and taking the technology and mapping it to our system is something that we're now able to share with the world, and we're going to be launching very soon.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So the whole concept of, being able to use an NFT, the difference between using, a PDF file, right, is the security in which that the blockchain would provide to those files. People will definitely, first argument I could see somebody having is, well, first, why not just the PDF, right? Why an NFT? And then second, why not just use Bitcoin and just use some Satoshis and put data in the metadata or something like that?
Yeah, so to answer the first part of that question is like the right-click save as guy. If he's wrong, then really any file type it doesn't exist unless it's an NFT, and that's kind of my thesis on having intuitive forms for space entrepreneurs for to leverage in their launch protocols and procedures. From doing a lot of market research, we've seen that it takes anywhere between like 12 to 18 months in terms of paperwork and back and forth and et cetera. So providing a proprietary network of NFTs that people can kind of send and render in the system securely and safely has been what we've been building towards. And to answer the second part of that question, it's like when we have more users come into the system, and then they're sending the files to other people, more people will come in. And then because systems today, like the UN's file types, they're not provisional. The APIs don't deliver. We had to, go to one of our advisors at the UN and ask them, hey, do you think you could get us these documents because they're not being provided online in the format they're supposed to be? And it's because, the 11,000 satellites that are registered with the UN, they don't have the documents. They're either analog, they're so old, something happened to them, they were on a file drive, thumb drive that got lost. It's like, we can't have that anymore, especially with the amount of debris that's in space, the amount of, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of satellites in low Earth orbit the size of Red Dot. And the velocity at which it's a mess, right? So having a new system in place in which people can be compliant from the beginning, and then all that information can be referenceable forever, until you die, essentially. is what we've been tasked with for the community in space, in which Lunargistics has been the accountability kind of measure of the community in space for about 12 months now, that with our partners, Cables Partners.
Yeah, Ken and I were talking before the show about that exact thing, about tracking and how this is interesting because there's really no method to the madness right now. You just have things flying around out there. Even when it comes like asteroids and things, like there's this mentality where we could just like kind of fix the problem, but we can't really see the problem. There's no way to put a target on it, you know?
Mhm.
So we definitely need a project like this. So
Yeah.
in addition to just being cool, like it delivers
Yeah.
a purpose
In
for
addition
the
to being
greater
like,
good, you know?
Space, you know.
Yeah, this is like about actually doing good for the planet. So like that's what I
Yeah,
like about
Well,
it.
we're talking
And-
about space garbage. I wonder, Anastasia, you know, how do you think we're going to be able to use projects like this with, you know, the potential of the garbage in, garbage out that is already a variable in, you know, society and the world in general, right? Like they may fudge things or lie on the blockchain, and once it's in space, how do we fact check the information? You know, so I'm curious, where do you see like garbage in, garbage out data when we start to use projects, you know, that are using NFTs to track things?
Well, I think first of all, it's all about organization and collaboration, right? We're entering this new space economy, this privatized space economy, but all of the information that we have right now that's out there is still in these really old school legacy, old space industry systems, right? So we need the public organizations like NASA and Roscosmos and ESA to work together with all of the new startups that are coming up, right? And so we want to switch, we want to move that information over to new systems where everybody can participate and collaborate and make sure that the information that's going into these new NFTs or distributed ledgers is correct and is reflecting what's happening in space right now, right? Like Logan said, some of the satellites and some of the space debris, we just have no idea where it is, what it is, and there's no tracking system at the moment. If we take it and do it correctly altogether, then we have the ability to actually track it correctly and have that correct information in.
Nailed it. Yeah, you're right. I'm curious though. Now that brings me to a privacy question. Maybe Logan, like how do companies utilize blockchain technology that, you know, the crux of is open source information for private data management? You know, NASA doesn't necessarily want to share all the information coming from their satellites with China, but if it's on the blockchain in an NFT, how do they prevent some, like, you know, do you see a dependence of privacy-based NFTs?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually like, you know, what a lot of people say is, you know, you don't need a blockchain for that, right? And there's things where, you know, especially in technology companies today, where you can layer and leverage, you know, certain things for certain parts of your application.
Like a
So-
zero knowledge proof, sort of, or
Yeah, so it's like not everything has to be on chain, not everything
Yeah.
has to be, but the way in which you know, use erasure coding and different encryption methods to you know, leverage the NFT as that, you know, the Boolean, like can that user access that feature, right? And or access that data, or
So
render.
unlockable data, not so much, you know, on the front end, but just how we see some people like artists using Rarible as a means to unlock more, you know, files or links or things like that. Probably be using these NFTs, not so much for the artistic expression that we see art being used for in NFTs today, but the utility, that key to unlocking a feature.
Yeah.
This is actually how Nexus did it, right? Colin worked on the software stack and basically separated like the ledger layer, which is all it needs to do is validate the information, right? In a distributed manner so that everybody has eyes on it. But private or secret or classified information that data can be on another layer, and it's just encrypted, and then the ledger just reads the data and says, yes, that is correct. but the information to the person who's looking at the data might be classified or.
And what
know,
would be
kind of-
nice is what Logan touched on earlier. A lot of the times data gets lost, information or isn't released to the public when it was supposed to be. These NFTs could actually have time releases on it to where it may be, locked. It may be privatizing by nesting information, but after 2 or 10 years, it becomes common knowledge. And that's where I think, NFTs will be able to keep us in that loop, knowing like, okay, these files will be public, they will be declassified, after 5 years or so, and we can keep an eye on that blockchain, on that NFT. And I right now, even if you wanted to look up, some information that's supposed to be public, it's a challenge. Most of the time, you have to pay somebody who knows how to jump through all the right hoops.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
government can
and-
avoid that stuff too by kind of outsourcing things to companies that aren't susceptible to, Freedom of Information Act requests and things like that. So,
I love
um,
that use case.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the best one out of something like this. Is now we finally will have more transparency on at least what is or isn't being shared with us, and track what is being shared. The transparency of it really helps. I mean, a lot of the YouTube videos that were coming out like 5 years ago from the Air Force, who were showing like unidentified objects that were kind of tracking them. It was really hard to tell if that was real or fake. And then just recently, the government and the military have acknowledged it as real footage. And it is an unidentified, object that's being tracked in real footage. But for years, we were debating whether or not that was real in general. Now, with something like this, using blockchain, we could at least go to the blockchain and say, hey, yeah, that data was definitely signed by a government address. Like, that's raw footage from there, and it could stop a lot of those discrepancies in information that is available. But then again, the credibility of the available information is kind of like up in the air. This could definitely add more credibility to the open source information we already have.
Yeah, and what's really nice is that the forums that we're starting with and starting to onboard people with, they're the ones that everybody should have access to anyway. A lot of things in space, like communications, are public as it is itself. So the UNOSA forum, registering a new space object, insurance forms, ensuring that people can come in and not only showcase what they're about to research or develop or whatever, but mint enough NFTs to then go and put them on a marketplace in which people can say, okay, I really believe in that piece of research and that development. I will purchase their NFT. It could be anywhere between $200,000 to $200,000 per NFT, depending on how much this group of researchers need to raise in order to, fulfill their mission. So from the long, arduous, like seeing how people raise money in the space industry, it just came down to, well, if we lead by example by, we're partnering up with Love Visuals. Shout out to Nicholas Love on, sorry, big trucks going by. Shout out to Nicholas
There's
Love.
trucks in space? Holy shit.
Whoa!
Space trucker.
So shout out to
Maybe
Nicholas
tractors,
Love.
too.
Taking, you see, you're the wrong way. You see one of our solid work, I think this is the GPS satellite that our chief scientist, Vishal, has created. So Love Visuals, they're going to take this and all of our other hardware CAD drawings for all of our satellites that we're going to be provisioning and turning them into an 8-piece scene in which each NFT is going to provide not only access to functions of our platform, such as being able to snapshot or upload a video directly to an NFT. It's all chain agnostic. We're using XDAI. We're going to be leveraging Wax. We're going to be leveraging the Secrets Network and some mainnet Ethereum NFTs for some of the really, really important documents, depending on what you want to do. And then having the NFTs are going to give you the access to the functions of uploading your your location. If you're a machine, if you have the NFT, maybe you're a satellite in space, you can upload your beacon, or maybe you're lost in space, you can upload your beacon. We're working on some watch apps. We're working on, and I'm kind of tailing it up because Anna's going to take the lead here. I got to jump on with Gabby in a second. But it was really nice to come on. If you have the NFTs as well, depending on which NFT you come in, it's going to provide you with yield based on the other NFTs that are being sold.
So before you go, I just want to ask one question though, kind of like dumb this down for me. I wanted to say my audience, but I ain't going to do them dirty like that. So basically I could give my dog an NFT on its like, IoT smart dog tag thing. And instead of worrying about the centralized animal, service in my area, I could use a decentralized network to keep track of my dog in case he runs away because he is holding an NFT.
Yep. So our NFT, if you have it, it's based on time. So you can set it to however, 5-second event listener or a 30-second, and it just uploads the coordinates at, that moment. And we were like, all right, well, if someone gets untethered in space, or if, a machine is out somewhere and you just want to kind of keep track of it, that would be what that is for. And then we put in the dashboard, okay, you want to peer-to-peer meet somebody, we made that. So NFTs as a service, like WTF as NFTs is this week. Something I wanted to touch on is, instead of taking a user's credit card information every month or every, annually, and then you have to deal with chargebacks or they just cancel at any moment, you lose a customer. NFTs as a service and like a subscription, using it as a Boolean is one of the most important things. True or false? Does the user have access to this or not? Whether it's data, whether it's security, whether it's whatever it has to be. That's
airdrops of other NFTs that could be other things of this similar. Yeah, exactly. NFT dividends, it's a thing.
Absolutely.
We call them airdrops.
That's really, really, really interesting. I'm doing more thinking than like trying to talk at this point because it just gives me so many interesting thoughts.
we were touching on like the
really,
NFTs
really cool.
that were, writing to the blockchain, but NFTs that will be reading from those NFTs that are writing to then used in their APIs. That's like the real key.
That's the stuff that's kind of it's really, really, really cool. Yeah, dude, I want to get you on a different show I have to talk about this too.
Because exactly, this is that's why I mentioned it. Kind of seems like Super World and Lunargistics would be a very
I want to get you on the Super World show. Yeah, dude.
All right,
let's link up.
Logan, if you got to get going, head on out, man. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. We can keep Anastasia on for a little bit longer if she has the time, and we'll dig in a little bit deeper. I do want to let you know, though, I have my own planet in virtual space called Alien Worlds, and it's Cavion, the planet, and my plot that I own is 3413, and if you mine right there, you'll find my NFTs in the ground.
What?
Yeah, dude, my NFTs are in space, in the ground.
Yeah, so link me up with
awesome.
the planet, Nathan, let's talk.
Yeah, definitely.
For taking the torch. Love you all.
Love you, man.
Just it's my lifeblood. LRG going on the NASDAQ soon. We're gonna have NFTs. It's great.
That's amazing, dude.
Love you, bro. Have a day.
Have a day, man.
So Anastasia, I guess I wanted to kick off this little part with you with like, who would be the ideal demographic test base for this, right? Like, obviously it wouldn't be NASA right out of the gate. Who would be sort of like a demographic that you would think would be great as a catalyst for a proof of concept on-ramp to be like that testnet user audience?
So I know there's a lot of small nano satellite startups out there these days trying to, set up like broadband internet in lower Earth orbit. And obviously, like, Elon Musk is paving the way with that as the biggest contender. But there are other companies out there wanting to do this kind of stuff. And the cool thing about NFTs is you can fund those satellite launches with NFTs by basically assigning them to partial ownership or fractional ownership of those satellites so that investors can have ownership rights over that satellite in a big group and then fund those kinds of space missions. So I think that would be a really awesome first use case.
All right.
Yeah,
no,
I think
see
in a lot
that.
of ways that's the future of tech, is just kind of
Yeah.
allowing people to decide what happens to the tech, or allowing
Yeah.
use cases to be
DAO it
decided by the
out.
group.
Everything's going to be a DAO eventually. I mean, most companies are trying to figure out how do they become a DAO so they're not held
Mhm.
accountable for the actions of a business. And, you know, that's their incentive because they probably started as a business with boards of, and they're all, but things that have that DAO in you know, when they're created in mind, will probably have less things to worry about, you know, because of the self-governance of the community running the DAO. But if you look at the way corporations are run right now, they're looking at how to become a DAO so they can get away from all their wrongdoings. A lot
Yeah.
less wrongdoings will come out of DAOs that, you know, that's just my, I mean, obviously nobody knows. It just-
DAOs are a lot harder to create than people think. I know, like, you know, back in 2017, everybody's like, I'm gonna do a DAO and a DAO and a DAO.
Yeah.
I actually tried to build one. It's not easy. And we failed multiple times. And, you know, Nexus is still working on it without me at this point, right? It's a difficult process to get that many people on board and then to kind of, I guess, like, step back from the reins.
Oh yeah, it
and
could be 100
also,
years before
you
we
know,
see a mainstream company go
Yeah.
DAO. Like probably be Tesla or SpaceX or something, but it will take a long time for them to all come
For
to that
sure.
agreement. You're right, because eventually, I mean,
sure.
you're thinking they're leaving their entire business up to, you know, the degenerates that pumped GameStop stocks and Dogecoin. Like if they DAO out, that's a really scary thought for suits that are used to being in charge of everything to do with the business.
Yeah, but I think
Oh,
to them
yeah.
it's better than the alternative in some ways of total anarchy and them losing everything they've built. They'd rather just like preserve what's built and then just kind of like put it into a protected film and just kind of take their hands off at this point and live their comfortable lives. And
Right.
it's kind of the best option too in a lot of ways for everybody.
Well, sort of what I was getting at was like the paradigm shift that we've seen happen with the NASA and SpaceX, you know, flipping it, you know, and like, you know, Anastasia just mentioned, independent satellite businesses are popping up all the time to the point to where
They're
like
mega.
you can just go look up most, you know, YouTubers and they're launching their own little satellites, like for real, like, you know, fucking kids. It's that, you know, common practice now that, you know, to think in 10 to 20 years, it would probably be as average to have your own satellite for fun as you do your own, you know, smartphone.
And that brings up a bigger issue too that I think this could help contend with, is that there's every day as some are launched, some are also kind of abandoned and forgotten about. And being able to track those too, instead of them being these errant pieces of space garbage that could destroy something one day.
Oh, we got super chats.
There are at least eyes on it, you know.
Mellow Fellow, thanks for the super chat, $10. And Anthony sent us 11 euros, which is like a whole Bitcoin in fiat.
They're fiat Bitcoins.
Yeah, it's the fiat it's the Bitcoin of fiat. I love the euro. It's the only fiat I'd want. Let's go. Appreciate it, Anthony. Thanks for the euro, bro. Much appreciated. You might want to rewind the podcast. He said he's missed the first part of it. Appreciate the super chats, and I don't have any herb, but I do have this. So in honor of the super chats, this one's for you.
I bought you that one thing, the thing on the bottom. Is that the same one? I have mine still. We paid way too much for these, but the guy was cool. The dude was like,
We got robbed.
He was like, Shaq was cool. Meek Mill was an asshole. Like he was just like telling us everything. And I was like, all right, we'll buy him for $100
Sometimes
a
you
piece
just gotta
or
buy
whatever.
because you like the person, you know? Sometimes
Yeah, they're
you
like
just like the
$50 a piece or something insane. they're worth $10, you know. But he was cool.
I'm all for supporting small business. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
He did have a Bitcoin ATM.
He did. Yeah, that's
well,
why we
Yeah.
came in to take selfies at the Bitcoin ATM.
Free pass then.
Oh.
Yeah, so next thing you know, Kent's bearing his chest to this dude in front of the ATM.
He's like, wait, you have a
God.
Bitcoin tattoo on your chest? I'm like, yeah.
You're like, why don't you?
How many you got now?
You're gonna need one of these one day to participate in society.
I have 3 different Bitcoin tattoos now.
Nice.
That's too many.
That's too many.
You need, actually, no. It's either too many or too few. It's like, I feel like if you had 5, I wouldn't say it was too many. but 3 feels like too many.
You
It's
know,
hard
that
to
brings
say.
up an interesting segue,
Weird.
actually, and I'm gonna go run with it.
Very abstract.
Well, no, because we're talking about data management and NFTs, blockchain, talking about utilizing that in space, but obviously it's already happening here on the ground with supply chain management. One of the
Yeah.
biggest industries actually getting into this head on is the cannabis industry, because they have a huge problem managing their supply chain. What pound of weed came from where, and where does it go? And so they're looking into creating IoT, the Internet of Things, these devices that will be able to better manage that. And then once they have all that data, the infrastructure that they're investing in on the physical side of things, they're going to need a software side to go with that hardware that manages that information with the same level of security. So it's just, right now what we're seeing is the cannabis industry building those physical devices to track the packages in the truck, where they go, similar to what we see UPS and FedEx doing today when they deliver your packages. They scan it, they take a picture of it, and they put it up on the internet, on the cloud, and you get a text message of it, which is basically an NFT at that point to them, right? It's just not on a decentralized ledger. But when you get a photo of your package delivered at the front door, it's on their blockchain. Their, NFT is that image with the metadata saying, hey, it was delivered, here's the timestamp. And so, but that level of security doesn't match the level of hardware investment that they made. So moving it into blockchain data management just makes sense. And I'm seeing more companies in the cannabis industry experimenting with NFTs for supply chain solutions. So I'm just curious with, that said, Anastasia, where do you think supply chain solutions may be applied first to where it comes to, space management? Well, where do you think that will kick off the supply chain management there?
I don't know. I guess there could be a couple of places. What I want to see it, where I want to see it applied is for like the process of how to the process of like launching something, right? The whole entire like mission schedule, mission design, the requirements, the checklist, the feasibility results, things like that. So a startup can come into the industry and be like, okay, this is how you launch a satellite, or this is how you launch a rocket. And eventually that's going to, in a bunch of decades, going to turn into, this is how you launch a spacecraft with tourists to the moon. And that's going to be the really exciting thing. But to start it off, there needs to be some kind of chain of correct information to make sure that all of these private companies know what they're doing and doing it safely and securely. Because like we mentioned, a couple times now, there's a lot of stuff out in space already. And if we want humanity to eventually go out there and explore, we need to make it safe and secure so that things don't, start bumping into each other.
Which
and blowing
happens
up.
all the time already,
Yeah.
which is kind of insane to think about. Because I think it's like, 1 out of 100 actually make land contact if there's any kind of like, atmosphere condition where they re-enter. They're usually burned up to dust. But it's like 1 out of 100 or something actually like land somewhere when it happens. And they just kind of like chalk that up to it is what it is. But
Yeah.
that's because they
Some
have...
SpaceX debris just landed on
Yes.
somebody's farm. And I was like, man, like, thank God it wasn't his house. Like, it was just land,
Oh
not
man,
the house.
I'm sure
but-
he was thinking, thank God, the cows were in the freaking barn or something. Like, yeah, but that's the
Yeah.
thing was where you
Yeah.
like. I like that you mentioned we should start now with things that are happening now, and maybe not start with all the crap that's already up there and working our way backwards. If we start utilizing this today, we have a better chance to catch up. But the problem is everyone's worried about, how do we track the things that are already up there that are untrackable? Start putting
Yeah.
things up there that are trackable. They can start
Yeah, that's
reading
the
their
idea.
surroundings, and they can start
Yeah,
to
put 'em
build
up.
that.
And maybe in the free
Yeah.
time, when inevitably downtime does arrive, like it always does, that's when you go after the old things, And you're right, like the new stuff helps track the old stuff. Absolutely.
I'm waiting to see what's that new telescope that they're building that's like 100 times better than the Hubble telescope. They're building it right now.
Yeah,
It's like
supposed to help
100.
us see like the edge of the galaxy,
The edge of
or
the
past.
like it's literally supposed to be able to see history. Like it's going to be able
Yeah,
to see back
crazy.
in time, or I don't know. They're weird, But like the
I don't
level,
remember the name,
it's
but
fucking
yeah.
huge investment, and it's a world
Yeah.
project. You know, it's kind of like a global project. It's I don't think it's just like America working on it. I'm pretty sure it's like one of those like United Nations funded global things. But the level of security, I'm waiting for one 15-year-old to hack it because of that. It's like the problem is maybe they might want to look into using the Ethereum blockchain for some things that are worth the gas fees when it comes to the level of security that it can provide. When you look at like a Tesla being hacked by a 10-year-old on the highway because they thought it would be funny to play porn on your TV that's in your car, it kind of opens your eyes to the real possibilities of somebody just driving you into a wall, or the potential of somebody hacking something like this and making it literally drive into another satellite and destroying it because they're not using distributed ledgers. Maybe one person that's on this project is a malicious idea and wants to destroy it. That's all it really takes, in centralized projects. But when you start to decentralize them, that risk is completely null and void. So the level of money they're putting into space right now, the odds of them not utilizing blockchain in some fashion, it doesn't make sense. It just poor fucking Playboy's using NFTs. NASA's definitely going to get involved, but it won't just be very rudimentary images on the blockchain. Like Logan mentioned earlier, that's why this is more interoperable, multiple blockchain utility. But using the Ethereum blockchain for the things that it makes sense for, those smart contracts that are more than just an image on the blockchain, I think that's important.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's going to be like a slow start. A lot, I've worked for Ubiquity, and I mentioned them in the article today. And what they did, what Nathan did was take these smart contracts and these NFTs and put them in the background so that people in the real estate industry could still utilize the technology without really thinking about it, right? Without getting too technical. And I think that's one of the ways that we can utilize DLT in space as well, right? These companies aren't going to rush into using tech that's so young, right? Because the entire industry is just emerging, and there's a lot of changes happening as these startups are starting to come up. So I think like starting out slow, maybe space patents. I want to do a whole article about that one because it's basically the same thing as house titles on the blockchain, but you're putting space patents there.
You know what
And
comes
then
with
if
space
you
patents,
sell-
Anastasia?
I know.
Space lawyers.
I know. I know, but some organizations are going to have to deal with compliance, right? And I'd rather it be Lunargistics than some public government organization that has no oversight. And
we already see how they treat the ocean. Could you
where I am.
imagine how they'd give a shit about space?
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah,
They
but,
think it's like a garbage dump.
But me, I'm an anarchist and stuff. But if I invented something and somebody went off and stole it from me without even asking me to help or like be involved or communicate with me somehow, I mean, I'm on every social media possible.
This starts an interesting debate
Yeah.
because Lunargistics obviously would be an open source, auditable, third party smart contract auditable and distributed. That's forkable, right? So projects like NASA or SpaceX that are already existent, or ones that could come out that we don't even know of, like whatever the hell Amazon and Bezos is up to, they could fork projects like your own, or even fork Nexus and cherry pick a lot of what they want. Then because it's open source. So I think you're
Ken. And we're seeing that in the financial industry, right? Like we're seeing that with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Yep.
And the government crypto or whatever it is, right? The Fed dollar, like,
it's
and
coming.
they're but they're kind of failing at it, I think. Like they're just not going to live up to the standard that the people in our industry who believe that sovereignty and decentralization and distribution of that kind of stuff is important. Like that those ideas are in our hearts. So everything that we do, all of the businesses that we're going to build are going to reflect those values. Them, not so much. And so they can cherry pick all they want, but they're never going to be as good as the people who actually believe in what they're building.
Yeah, it's true. They're just copying something. That's the whole idea behind this anyway. I mean, it has to mean something. The whole NFT movement is essentially about having the original of something. So yeah, like the original project that's carrying out the mission is definitely, that's where I try to focus if I'm like looking at a project to say like invest in, for instance, even. But yeah, I think there's so many interesting use cases, just even the boring ones that a lot of people think are boring, like supply chain. Like to me, that's the cool stuff for blockchain. Like that's the stuff that's actually going to help the world.
Well, that's because we're blockchain nerds, so we live for this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's amazing. It's cool to be able to keep track of stuff. I love being able to keep track of stuff. We take our organization skills for granted.
I got 3 ingredients, that I try to tell people they should throw into their recipe when trying to cook up a project. You got to figure out how to gamify it, monetize it, and incentivize it. So I'm curious, how does Lunargistics plan on, monetizing what you're doing? I can get the gamification of it, the incentivization is there, but how does that monetization come into play? The reward-based systems or, stuff like, securing a network or whatever. I'm just curious where, like, obviously users, when they utilize something, seeing even basic attention token and how that's played out, and most of these social platforms that are now coming out with like, reward currencies for liking something and whatever. That's that, monetization aspect, not just you earning, but your end users are earning, the people that are owning these NFTs. I'm curious, where do you see the value in monetization on a project using Lunargistics?
So I think without giving away too much, we definitely want to look at NFTs as a crowdfunding mechanism, and so that we can use the smart contracts and basically create like a payout system for investors based on whatever project that they're looking at or whatever company we're working with.
So that's where like the DAO would fall in.
Yeah, for sure. That could be definitely an option, right? And then, but basically when investors, especially in this space, right, because it's so risky and so new, they're looking at companies and looking for some kind of payout in the future. If you just put that into the smart contract and have it prepared, they don't necessarily have a guarantee that that company won't fail, but at least they have some kind of assurance that if it's succeeding, that they're going to get that payout without, anybody in the background tampering with it, right? Because
it's kind of like what they do with companies today. They time lock early investors investments, so they can't dump on the market when it goes public. Sometimes it's locked for a year, 2 years, 5 years, depending on how much they invested and how early they invested before it went public. So yeah, this is a good way for investors to have sort of that same similar feeling where they have a time locked investment where they know in 5 years they'll get X amount from the stock supply the business holds.
Yeah, and NFTs kind of just like streamline that process. They make it simpler, they make it cheaper, and they make it more available to not just the accredited investors that we're familiar with from the old kind of legacy system. But I have like another cool idea that I mentioned in my article, and this one I'm not really sure how feasible it is and how far away it is. But say we applied NFTs to mining asteroids. That's like a super hot topic, right?
Yeah.
In the industry. And so like my idea was that, you could, every asteroid could be assigned an NFT, and then that could be auctioned off to companies, or companies can decide how, divvy that up, kind of first mover advantage. And then they can create more NFTs that are specifically assigned to the resources that asteroid holds. So as soon as they mine that resource and it lands on Earth, that's when that NFT pays out the investor who helped them get there and who helped them mine the asteroid. So I think that would be a really cool futuristic use case for NFTs and funding and getting that kind of streamlined payout process to investors.
I love the potential irony that sets up too, that, you know, the blockchain space that involves Bitcoin, ETH, all these things that were never, you know, by gold investors said would never have any value. If these things are going to essentially lead to the technology that's going to mine asteroids to find more gold to devalue their investment, that lifts ours back up. like, that's what I thought about when I read the article. I was like, this sets up such an interesting level of irony and satisfaction.
We all know that gold is just the shiny thing you wear around your neck now, okay?
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. It's going to take something from being this heavy rock that the government's going to take away with you if you even move across, you know, the seas to another country, to just being like another actual resource that's like transferable. And I think people understand it too as time goes on more and more. It's just so new.
Well, Bitcoin does depend on gold a little bit, just so you guys know.
Little.
We use gold in every miner that exists.
Electricity.
We need gold.
Yeah.
We need gold for every miner that exists. Without it, they would not be as efficient.
But that's the
we
point,
don't
though.
necessarily need gold for the money aspect of it.
Yeah,
We can
that's what I was
just
gonna
use
say.
that gold.
Yeah, that's what I
It
said. I
should
was
be
like,
more of a material, a raw material
we're
resource rather than
misusing gold as jewelry. Sort of like people misuse Ethereum for art, necessarily. How I feel. It's like you're misusing gold, which belongs in technology, has a way better use case there. It does more service for its use there. And that's how I see Ethereum. People using
it's
it
like
for
people think like
bare
all
minimum
shit
art.
coins are like currency. Like when I'm doing consulting for just basic crypto stuff, if I have somebody that like doesn't know about crypto, they don't know that like these aren't all just forms of money. Like I'm like, no, these like are kind of like representing like different companies, and like they're almost like shares of stock, but they're not. Like they think everything's like a different type of Bitcoin or something.
I'm so happy when I first saw Bitcoin in 2015 and heard Vitalik in early 2016 talking. I was like, whoa, HTML5, but scarce? Wait, so like imagine there's only 21 million lines of HTML5 or Java, and I could own a whole line of Java. Do you know how many lines of Java Facebook needed to use to build Java Facebook on the internet? Like, oh, this makes total sense to me. It was like a scarce programmable language on a, you know, and then when I talk to people.
That's a really weird way to get Bitcoin.
Right.
Like, how did you...
Yeah.
That is not how I got it.
It's so
I
funny.
can own HTML code.
I've heard it explained a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has their own way. That's how I got it. I clicked for me when I saw like Ethereum in that way of the Internet of Things, and Andreas Antonopoulos talking about the Internet of Money, and I was like, wait, bro, like that's like having a $5 HTML bill. Like that makes so much sense though if you think about it. You know, I could have a $2 JavaScript bill or something like that. The
And
Internet
as the
of Things,
webmaster.
the Internet of Money, put them together, and holy shit, a Bitcoin, Ethereum, I get it. I got it. You know, so imagine that. You know, imagine if HTML was scarce and you could own some of it, and every company uses it to build on the internet. That's Ethereum, and companies need that to build on Ethereum. And guess what they're doing? They're building on Ethereum. Can't do it without Ethereum.
I think that at the moment it provides another layer of security too that a lot of chains don't offer, and it's, you know, there's just a lot of things for now that are good if you're like a company that's involved in like national defense or like, you know, supply chain or something.
Oh yeah, I guess for the record, I do want to mention like Ethereum is not limited in supply like Bitcoin is to 21 million. So I do have to like.
It's safe.
It's a lot like Java or a lot like HTML in that sense of supply, just for the record.
Yeah, it's like I was like, I wonder if the analogy is actually complete, but yeah, like everybody knew what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't, like, because everyone's been kind of trolling Mark Cuban for some misinformation he put out about Ethereum and Bitcoin supply and being better sound money, and I'm like, I don't think he knows how sound money works. It's definitely a way smarter blockchain. It's totally smarter, but I don't think it's more sound depend. Like, I was so yeah. People are like, how many Bitcoin are there? 21 million. How many Ethereum will there ever be? At Mark Cuban.
Yeah, and I think I think it brings up just that scarcity debate in general, and why some things should be viewed as, currency, and some things maybe shouldn't be viewed as currency, and they're more of like just, like a
Just
raw
because you
material
can
that's needed
use
to operate
it
in this
as a
space.
currency doesn't mean, or no, I'm sorry, correct that. Just because you can use it as a money because it is a currency doesn't mean
Right.
it should be money.
That's like, that's my point. Is it's like
currency and money
yeah.
are very different, and one can exist without the other.
Yeah, it's like how we just discussed, gold is just as valuable without, the currency aspect, and will be more valuable in the future because we're gonna have more electronics.
Right. Nobody goes to the
you know.
store to pay for things in gold bricks anymore, right? And that's
Right.
probably going to be the Ethereum use case. People are probably going to stop tipping with it and
And that's
using
what
it
I
in that
explain.
sense.
It doesn't make it less
It'll
valuable.
be
It's just
respected
like
more. It'll definitely be
Yeah,
respected more.
there's just different things that these things are designed to be used for, I think, and that's the point. People just get into this and they think it's all money. This is a different form of money, and it's like, well, no.
You
You're
can
not
accept
into the
payment
technology.
in anything.
Yeah.
My dad in the Soviet Union, my dad used to sell candy wrappers. Because like foreign candy wrappers, because like importing foreign candy was super expensive, so only some people were able to buy it. So, and people collected the wrappers. So
wow.
he traded that for Soviet Union bills, right? And really, it's just shit coins all the way down.
Yeah.
I mean, like
that's what nobody realizes. Like, I do a lot of things on like the barter system for like consults and different things, like I just for artwork a lot of times too, for other artists. I like, like it's all currency at a point.
Yeah, I'm sure there's celebrities out there who pay their bill by just signing their name on the receipt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if Banksy owed you $1 million. He's like, all right, bro, pick a wall. I'll just paint on it.
He'd be like, I'll just sign it, and it'll
right,
like, now you owe me $9 million.
That's where I think where we're seeing right now is, kind of the NFT being used in that sense is it is making money obsolete. I've been seeing more people want less dollars for more digital things like NFTs, art. The art barter economy is kicking off sort of in that sense where people are working for NFTs, working for art, rather than working for the currency, that, is spent on it or it's valued by or whatever. So, the NFT technology itself is, I think, probably going to be known as the new barter economy era, like what kicked it off. It may not be exactly what we see today, but only, imagine where this could go in 10 to 20 years when, the kids that are 10 years old today are just experiment. Wait until they're in their 30s and this is something they grew up with. We're just jumping into something. They're being bored into it, which we've seen how we've used the internet opposed to how the generation before us used it. We defined it. They're going to define NFTs. We're just keeping the seat warm for the next 10 to 20 years. So just imagine where this could go.
Experimenting, messing around.
Imagine,
we're teaching people how to defy the borders.
What would you do, Anastasia, if this technology existed with the kind of mindset we had in high school? We would definitely be trading NFTs instead of dollar bills in the lunchroom in high school.
Instead of Pogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, Pogs. That's funny.
I can see it now, man. I wish I was, either young enough or old enough to have a kid that was in high school, or young enough to be back in high school to see like how they're playing with this as we played with Pokemon cards as currency, or even those jelly bracelets that we would trade different colors for. And dude, I'm just like, this is something that we can't even begin to predict the outcome of, but right now we can definitely see it making money obsolete.
I mean, Gen Z is definitely doing it through the video game world, right? I mean, they've been trading video game currency forever. And now we're looking at VR and virtual realities and owning land, on different planets or on voxels or whatever else. So, and especially with, everything that happened last year, that generation is growing up inside of the internet way more than we could have even imagined, right? And we grew up with it, right? So yeah, I mean, people are bartering everything from, also time and skills and their faces and their voices and yeah, all of these things. I think it's just like a big boom of all of this virtual ownership, right? Bitcoin created digital scarcity, and now we can play around with it. Now we can own the virtual things, and so everybody's really excited about it. And I think in a few, decades, it's going to calm down a little bit, and we'll really, really see where this technology blooms, like what it is really going to look like then. And it's definitely going to be up to Gen Z and Gen Alpha to create those kind of new economies. We'll be
Yeah,
there
they're allowed
helping,
to. They're able to sell their soul, but the devil's not involved. You know, that's kind of the way to look at it.
I
In some
know,
ways.
a little bit. Yeah, look at TikTok.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like I don't use TikTok. I don't use Clubhouse. I'm like, I feel like the
You're a
new
rebel.
boomer. No, I'm just like the new boomer, bro.
boomer.
Yeah, that's what it
I'm gonna
is.
start calling you Boomer.
That's the thing. I refuse to be a boomer, so I'm totally on TikTok, and now I'm on Clubhouse, and I'm loving TikTok. I've loved it for like the last year and a half. I got
Yeah,
in
I'm 33,
right
but I'm
before.
hip.
Yeah,
That's
No,
what I
mean,
feel like
just watching-
Clubhouse and TikTok is, though. It's a bunch of adults showing up to like a prom, and I'm just like, bruh, you've aged out of this scene a long time ago. It's like when you see Ty Lopez with two 14-year-olds talking about Bitcoin. Remember that video back in the day where Ty Lopez was talking about BitConnect with two 15 or 16-year-old kids on YouTube about how much money they made? And
Oh God.
that's
It's
the Clubhouse thing. It's like, it just feels like all these
cringy.
old people just like manipulating children. It's weird.
Uh-oh.
God. Wait, is Gen Z even on Clubhouse? I don't know. I'm new. I just joined yesterday.
That's
so
their fucking bread and butter. It's weird.
Well, I guess it depends what room, because like I'm in all the nerdy rooms. I'm in the space rooms. I'm in the
Yeah, those ones are probably cool.
Bitcoin rooms, right? Like I'm in the rooms that I'm always in on every social media platform, and I'm always hanging out with like the geeky millennials who nobody really liked us when we were young, because we talked about
Are
like
you on
It's the
BitClout?
kind of
NFT rooms
stuff.
that are rough.
Are you on BitClout
I-
too?
Oh God, no! I just keep hearing about it every
Me
time somebody
neither.
says BitClout. I just hear BitConnect, and
It's sort of like they're giving us a heads up in advance. They're like, yo,
Yeah.
Like, hey, we told them.
yeah, for
Like, we
those
literally
that
said it.
know, man, if you don't get the hint.
So I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what it's for. I just hear BitClout, BitConnect. I'm like, okay, same thing. Cool. Not even gonna look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't name your company anything close to BitConnect. I mean, what are you
something,
thinking?
yeah.
It shows that they don't have like the
All right,
knowledge of
can
the
I put this out there? The fact that you decided, and I don't know whose idea it was, and I'm sure somebody wanted to use something like fucking lunar cryptogenics or whatever, right? But you didn't. Anybody that uses Bit, crypto, whatever, blockchain, anything in their name anymore, it's a red flag from the gate, and I have no
Yeah,
interest.
change
in
it.
Oh, yeah.
If it's
Done.
like, BitClout or
Yeah.
social chain or crypto
ConnectBit.
world or whatever. Yeah, I'm none of it.
No,
None of that.
those names
reverse it.
are reserved to pre-2017 companies. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
late to the party.
Yeah, that exactly. It's to me it's just
Yeah, they missed the
a red
ICOs
flag.
and they had to come back.
Well, right. That's the same. Exactly. When I see that, though, it's like, oh, they hired an ICO marketer. Like that's
A lot of it is. A lot of it are companies. Like I've noticed some of the CEO. I've talked to some people and then done research and be like, "Oh, you were like the CEO of this company."
Right.
It's like,
That's what I feel like
damn,
people are
dude.
doing enough of right now is a
Not
little
good.
more DYOR on the people and projects and be like, wait, you were in like that 2017 ICO thing you did. What happened with that project?
dude, it's crazy.
So
It's
yeah, we don't
literally
even know who is behind BitClout or any of that. So I figured I'd ask because you said you're on, what's the other one, Clubhouse or whatever, and I guess that's a
Yeah,
little
and
bit
TikTok.
different.
That
TikTok,
worked
I'm
for.
having a lot of
But
fun on,
TikTok's
though.
China
TikTok's
and
cool.
it's the
It's different.
CCP, and I'm just not a big fan of like giving China money by using their app to get them monetized. Like, it's just.
My family survived the Soviet Union. Like China's like child's play.
I guess I got kicked off the first hour I downloaded it because I hit a bong in a video, and apparently that's
Oh
not
yeah, not
allowed.
allowed to do that. No, I mean
Yeah.
like all of these platforms are are going to have those minuses, right? Like what are we going to do? Not use them? I guess, yeah, if you want to be like super hardcore about it, you could just not use Facebook, just get off Twitter, get off all of these social medias, because all of them are censoring, all of them are playing political games, all of them are fucking around with free speech, freaking around with free speech.
It's all good. Say whatever you want. You can say all the dirty words
Absolutely
right now.
adorable, by the
Yeah, that's
way.
so cute. Thank you.
And you know what? I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna have fun. And TikTok is freaking fun for me. Okay, I'm like doing
It is fucking
Bitcoin
fun.
meme videos. I'm like, the trends are hilarious. Like, it's my kind of humor, right?
Yeah.
It's this kind of like sort of like ironic, sarcastic, kind of dumb but sometimes clever humor, and I like it. I'm having fun with it. Clubhouse, I'll see how it goes, but so far I'm really liking it because there's like an opportunity for more nuanced conversations. I love Bitcoin Twitter, but I do not get it. Like, even after all these years, you just shout sentences at people, and then if they're controversial enough, they like you.
That's
I don't
why
get
I
it.
tweet in
There's
all
no conversation
caps.
happening.
That's why I tweet in all caps.
I tried.
Yeah.
I've tried. I have like 2,000 followers, but I'm just like, Bitcoin's up today, guys.
Oh,
And,
that's
like, I don't know
hilarious.
what to say. It's not
Yeah.
a conversation.
You
It's
just gotta
not
get
interesting.
controversial.
I do engage with people that tweet to me, that reply. That helps a lot too, though. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious though, and this is actually a great way to segue out, I think. Where do you see, Lunargistics moving forward within this year's roadmap? Expect, things that are expectable goals that you can kind of talk about. And then I wanted to throw in the question of, like we just mentioned with these platforms, like BitCloud or Clubhouse, even TikTok, whatever it may be, it seems to be these social media like Facebook, they're incorporating their own marketplaces now. I feel like platforms should be incorporating their own social media aspects. So like lunargistics.com, or any .com essentially should have a social media environment within their business that is a market or a service or whatever. The same way we're starting to see eBay and Amazon start to become more similar to a social media platform rather than a shopping platform. And like I mentioned with Facebook putting in a marketplace, if you just look at that marketplace, it looks more like a marketplace with a social media site. So just curious what the roadmap looks like, and was that something that you would consider, building a social media environment for, sort of like how Poloniex had the troll box. Remember those days?
I think that for social media, like, the network effects are really important. And even, for as many, like, for example, Telegram groups that make it big and have hundreds of, or thousands users that type and talk and communicate and connect every day, there's just as many very dead Telegram groups. So I think communities need to be built consciously, and it's like, through all of these different social media sites that have come up in the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of them fail. I tried to do the whole Mastodon thing after, Twitter got a little bit too crazy with the Bitcoin community, and we hung out there for, a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then we all went back to Twitter because that's where the people are. So you have to take into account, if you're going to create some kind of social media platform or some kind of community, that people are actually going in there. I don't want to log into another social media platform personally. There's already too many. I like the ones that are different, right? So like a video platform versus a talking platform versus a writing platform. That's cool. Versus a photography platform, a la Instagram. But if it's just the same platform over and over again, just on a new server or a new .com platform, then I don't know if I'm going to be there. I might hang out there for a week or two, meet some people, and then be like, hey, you're cool. I want to be friends with you. Let's connect on Telegram and continue our conversations there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big danger. But as far as our roadmap, we are developing these NFTs, and we're building out a suite to connect with startups and companies, researchers, engineers, and everybody else in the space industry who needs these solutions to be able to do their job better and to progress. If we can provide them that place where they can go and get all of the documentation and all of the information that they need to do their job correctly and safely and securely, then, you know, that's how we want to help. We want to be here. We want to be in the new space industry. We want to develop this economy. We want to get humanity to the moon and Mars and, you know, all of that really, really fun stuff. But we want to build the foundation so that other companies can come to us and know that we're both experts in space and experts in DLT and how that all works together to help them.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah,
When you
seriously.
talk to Logan, tell him thanks again for his as well. And where can people go to join? Obviously, you know, lunargistics.com is in the title of the podcast today. Would that be the best place to go? And Telegram, like you mentioned?
We don't have a Telegram channel at the moment that's public, but we are on Twitter under Lunargistics, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. You can connect with us there. I'm always online. And yeah, on our website too, you can email us. So we'll be happy to help.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Senor Lupe, Jeremy Crow. I see you, Brian, in the chat. Mellow Fellow, thanks again, Vinny. Sorry if I missed anybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Exciting World Crypto was here.
Exciting.
So excited. We got a couple super chats again. I wanted to say thank you to Anthony for the €11. He said, any QR code tattoos? Yeah, man, I got. So this is my first
Scan
Bitcoin
it.
wallet. It doesn't
I
scan.
remember that one.
But yeah, that's my Bitcoin QR code tattoo right there, bro. Thanks for the super chat, Anthony, and everybody. Have a day.
Thank you. Have a day. We love you. Bye.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.